Hi, I'm Les Melanson. I'm the owner and winemaker for Xella Winery and Vineyard in Mechanicsville, Maryland. This is my wife, Erin Melanson, who's co-owner and also our general manager and vigneron, or
Work
vineyard
out in the
manager.
vineyard. Yeah.
Yep.
We decided to start a winery. We needed to find a farm. We lived in a subdivision and knew we couldn't have a winery in the subdivision. So we started looking, and actually it was about a year process. We needed to find the right soil type, land with good drainage, a place to have the tasting room, also a place for us to live as well. So we came across this property in Mechanicsville, and it used to be the vineyard that you see now. It used to be a tobacco field, and then it was corn, and we had a dilapidated tobacco barn on the property, which is the logo, the barn logo on our name, under our name. And so now every year we planted a few grapes here and there. We started with Cabernet Franc, 2 rows of that, and then each progressive, every year after that we did about a half acre. And now we have Cabernet Franc, Vidal Blanc, Tannat, Barbera, Albarino, and Regent varietals. And we'll just keep going until we get the whole field, and then we'll start working on the backfield.
So Xella Winery is actually an acronym for all the people in our family. The X is for our oldest daughter, Xenia, and then E is for Erin. The first L is for me, Lester the third. Our son is Lester the fourth, and then our baby daughter is Amara. Traveling around the world and doing a lot of wine tourism, kind of whenever we go on vacation or go somewhere, what we do is go to wineries. And every time we go to a winery, we'd say like, oh, I really like this about this place, I don't like this about this place. And we always kind of dreamed and talked about what it would be like if we owned our own winery someday and how we would build it and operate it and run it.
Always a post-Navy retirement goal.
Yeah, for years. Yeah, so in 2008, for my birthday, she took me to a make your own wine place in Virginia. And I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. You know, this is easy, anyone can do this. And then it was just kind of a hobby that got out of control. So I started off making like 100 bottles a year, and then it turned into 200 and then 300. And eventually I went back to school and got a master's in winology and viticulture from UC Davis in California, so that when I retired from the Navy a couple of years ago, we'd be kind of ready to set off on this adventure. These are actually our first 2 rows, our first Cab Franc vines that we planted in 2017. So they're coming along. They're definitely our most mature. We've already gone through bud break and flowering, and we're starting to slowly get into eventually what's called veraison, where these grapes go from being green to growing to being green to being red. And then after that, you'll really have fruit set, where a bunch of the sugars and acids really start to concentrate in the fruit as they get bigger and bigger. And then it'll be harvest time, come end of August into September.
So my favorite wines are the Pax River White and the Pax River Red. Our Pax River White is the Vidal grape, grown right down the road in Avenue from Grey Wolf Vineyards. And the Pax River Red is a Chambourcin grown the neighbor to Grey Wolf Vineyards, Still Creek Vineyards. We love both of those. They make very unique wines. The Chambourcin is very earthy and spicy. The Pax River White, the Vidal, is crisp and acidic and lemony. So those are 2 of my favorites.
Wine that was inspired by our bad barn, our old tobacco barn that's on our labels that fell over. One of our more popular red wines is our Bad Barn Red, which is our Cabernet Sauvignon here. It's not a big, bold California cab. It's more like an easier drinking kind of French Bordeaux style cab. It's definitely probably our fruitiest red, but it's also the oakiest because we use a mix of medium and heavy toasted oak barrels here, Hungarian oak here. And this was all done in the heavier toasted Hungarian oak barrels, and we aged it there for 18 months, which really imparts a lot of chocolatey and smoky and cigar box flavors to the wine, making like a real nice, dry, well-balanced Cabernet Sauvignon. Xella Winery pear wine is one of our more popular wines. It's our only fruit wine that we produce, and it's made all with estate-grown pears right here on the property. So when we first bought the property and we were starting to decide where we're going to put the tasting room, we wanted to tree line our driveway to sort of funnel people towards the tasting room and away from our house. And we picked pear trees because pear trees just blossom really pretty in the spring. They have lots of white flowers all over them. And from there, we found out that the trees that we picked, which was
Kefir and Moonglow.
Yeah, Kefir and Moonglow pears, they just produced tons of pears. They were growing so many pears on them that they were breaking the branches off the trees. The branches were touching the ground. And we had so many pears that when we were done with all the grapes in the fall, we harvested all the pears and diced them up and threw them in the crusher destemmer and in the press and made a pear wine from them. And it's a really nice, sweet, florally pear wine with a lot of pear flavor that's been really popular.
Sells out really fast every year.
Right now, the whole business is just myself and Erin. So because of that, we're only open on Saturdays, noon to 5. We get asked all the time, you know, when are you going to open up on Fridays or Sundays? And we plan to expand sometime in the future, maybe down the road when we get our production up a little bit more from the 300 to 400 cases a year that we make right now. And then we have a few more employees other than just us. So, you know, family time is important to us. So right now we're just open on those Saturdays from noon to 5. And then we also have food trucks and local musicians that come and play here on select weekends. And we always post on Facebook and Instagram, like what weekends we're going to be doing special events and have the food trucks and the wine and the musicians.
Very dog friendly, kid friendly. Bring your furry friends and your kids.
Yeah, I always say that the two of us have brought our dog and our children to so many wineries that we'd be giant hypocrites to not let people bring theirs to ours. Yeah, so a lot of people ask me about the tasting room here and where this building came from. So this structure was originally a mechanical shed that the owners before us worked on cars in. So when we brought the property and took over, you know, there's a pile of oil pans over here and there's a pile of spark plugs over there and a pile of brake pads over there. And we cleaned it all up and we decided to make this building our tasting room. So we chopped out a bunch of the cinder block to put in French doors and full-length windows, and went ahead and insulated it and framed it out and added a bunch of electricity to it so that we could have air conditioning and lights. And
then we used all the tobacco barn wood, the ceiling, and the front and back walls. The round tables, wood tables that we have in here, our buddy made them from the barn wood. Tobacco staves on the bar. Definitely trying to use up all the wood as much as we can.
And this is where we do our tastings. So we offer a tasting on Saturdays when we're open of all 8 of our wines for $7. And we have a mix of everything. We have white wines and red wines, both dry and sweet. We always try to offer some sangria or some sort of special for the weekend as well. So if
mulled wine in the winter.
Yeah, mulled wine in the winter, sangria in the spring and the summer. And then we're going to continue to expand. So we'll always, the good thing about being a small winery is that we have a lot of room to experiment. We're not really stuck with doing large batches of wine. We don't have to be consistent necessarily. So we're always releasing new things, trying new things. Most of the wines that we make are done in 500 liter, 600 liter batches, so 600 bottles at a time. So coming up soon, we're going to be releasing an oaky Chardonnay. So that's the first white wine that I've done in barrel. We have our Merlot that's going to be released in the next few weeks.
I've always wanted wine on tap. So if you've seen the double tap, we get asked about it all the time. It's not anything yet, it's coming soon, but we'll have our sparkling rosé on tap, and then hopefully in the more distant future, we will get a beer license so that we can have a Xella brew available for the people that come with their friends or family and don't like wine but want to drink beer.
Yeah, no, we know that not everybody's a wine drinker, so we want to have options for everyone to be able to come to Xella and enjoy
And we
their
love
time
beer
here.
too.
Our friend Krista Bonds, who's made all the tables here for the tasting room out of our old barnwood. We try to showcase some of his other pieces and small woodwork around the tasting room, even if it's simple bottle openers or tablet holders, that sort of thing.
I think that's one of my favorite things about Southern Maryland is the community. One of the main reasons why we decided to stay here after he retired from the Navy. And I just love how everybody works together, and it's really great. The small businesses, friends, family, like it's fantastic. And right down the road, another one that I just thought about, the Susannah's Watch Bed and Breakfast. We've been collaborating with them as well over on Sandgates, North Sandgates.
Yeah, they have a beautiful bed and breakfast there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And we always give their guests, 2-for-1 wine tastings when they come in.
She gets people from DC every weekend and then she'll send them to us as well as the other wineries. This year, we started our own wine trail in St. Mary's County. So that includes us and Generations Vineyard off of St. Andrews and Port of Leonardtown, and also Jubilee Fermentations, which was formerly Slack Winery. They don't have a tasting room open right now, but they are currently making wine and beer, and eventually we'll have a tasting room. So the four of us make up the wine trail down here, and so that's really been exciting this year, is to finally have a wine trail within the Maryland Wine Association group.
And we named it the First Landing Wine Trail, since St. Mary's County is where the first landing was of the people that came over to Maryland in 1634. And we're conveniently located just an hour south of DC. So it's a great place for people to get away from DC or even the Baltimore area for just a day trip down here to get into the country, go get some fresh local seafood, go see some historic sites, and visit some local wineries and things as well. Or stay for the whole weekend. There's plenty to do around here.
There's a great bed and breakfast, Susannah's Watch, right down the road, 10 minutes from us.
There's a new small boutique hotel in Leonardtown.
Oh, yep, the inn.
The inn at Leonardtown?
Yeah.
And
we get people from DC every weekend.
we love giving restaurant suggestions, and the community here is continuing to grow and expand, and have more and more kind of small local offerings that even just 5 years ago weren't available here. So we're kind of happy to be a small part of it.